It starts on September 19th, 2016 at about 11 a.m. This is a Monday. So Cook arrives in the Elk Mountains area of Colorado to hike the infamous Maroon Bells. It's two peaks, Maroon Peak, which comes in at about 14,163 feet, and North Maroon Peak, which comes in at about 14,000 feet. So Cook's plan was to hike Maroon Bells on the 19th, and then he was going to do both those peaks in one day, and then he was going to climb Pyramid Peak on the 20th, which is another roughly 14,000 foot mountain. Like we said earlier, the peaks are located in the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness area of the White River National Forest. So,
yeah, look at how aggressive these look. That's Maroon Peak and the North Maroon Peak.
Yeah, it's
super rocky.
Yeah.
That's technical climbing.
Oh, for sure. And like we said, the sign from the National Forest Service talks about this isn't like hiking Half Dome or something. They call the rock rotten. Which,
it's all scree.
Yeah, which means like your anchors, if you're not anchoring in the right spot, could come right out.
And you can be good at anchoring, and it can come out. Like, you have to exercise very good
That's why they
control.
say even very experienced technical climbers, if they don't know the correct route up the mountain, will probably die. So
that's
I mean, that's
not even a warning. That's just, hey, you're not going to make it.
That sign was terrifying. The only other time I remember seeing a sign that was kind of terrifying was in Hawaii when we were on the Kalao Trail. They had a sign warning people about the riptides, and it basically said, if you go swimming on this beach, you will die. Like,
yeah. And they're just, just don't do it.
They're just like, don't do it. Yeah, even like a Michael Phelps goes swimming out there, they're not going to be able to swim back in. And everything has to do with how the beaches were situated on the island of Kauai on the north end and how it interacts with the currents in the Pacific Ocean. Different episode, but
yeah, they're saying a permit's required to even access it by vehicle now. It says I'm on the All Trail site for 2021. They're saying you need a permit, and they have a link towards it. So
yeah.
They might be doing that to limit the amount of people that are going to attempt it, just so they don't have to go on rescue missions.
Yeah, so Monday, his first day hiking, he planned to go up South Maroon and do the traverse and then head back down North Maroon. Family states Cook started his hike late in the morning, which they said was very uncharacteristic of his hikes. He usually started at 5 a.m., and this is something Joe and I have done on a lot of hikes, especially in the more popular parks. You try to get there before the sun gets up.
Oh, yeah. I'm even reading some of these, and I won't go to all of them. They're saying, the honest truth, this was borderline torture for me. I'm a very experienced hiker, but between the loose rocks, constant route finding at the top, and extreme steep and slippery declines, this was unlike any other hike I've ever done before.
Yeah.
So, and I won't keep going on, but it's a bunch of people saying like, holy cow, we underestimated, did not check out the reviews. But it's a lot of people saying and when you're on an all trail site, especially these pro users, I'm a pro user, when they say things like that, it's not just like somebody stumbled upon it. These are people who know what they're doing typically. I'm saying that with quotes.
Air quotes.
Yeah, they could be new people.
Yeah.
But they're saying, hey, I'm experienced. This is dangerous.
Yeah. And like I said, Joe and I we've tried to start hikes in more popular parks in the early morning, sometimes before the sun comes up, mainly to A, beat the traffic on the trail, and B, to beat the weather, especially if we're doing a mountain hike. You kind of want to get up there like by noon and start heading back.
Storms rolling in the afternoon.
Yeah, so
that was the goal. Be off peak by the afternoon. Like, you want to get to the summit by like 11 would be ideal. Yeah, noon at the latest, and if you're there at noon, don't dilly dally.
Yeah, so we don't know why he started out late, but for whatever reason, it's unusual. This guy was so experienced, and this is probably one of the more technical climbs he's ever done, and he starts out late. I don't know why. There's no reason given why he would have started late, but could that have factored into what happened to him? So weather conditions on South Maroon, as reported by other climbers, there was poor visibility with 3 to 6 inches of sustained snow and some snowdrifts almost waist deep. So
That can be dangerous on a mountain too.
Yeah, not ideal weather conditions during his hike. So it is now September 19th, 2016 at 1:40 p.m. Cook was identified by a hiker on South Maroon halfway up the tundra slope. According to the person that spotted him, he was reported to be moving slowly, which again, the family found this strange because they said he was extremely fit. He was, he's summited 50 peaks in Colorado. He's a former U.S. Marine, very fit guy, and he would usually do these hikes pretty fast. He would be one of those guys you would see almost running up the trail. I've seen those guys all the time hiking.
Oh my gosh. They're almost annoying because I wish I was that fast.
Wish I was that good.
Yeah, and they don't even look like they're tired sometimes. Like, come on, man.
And I'm breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I don't live here. I can't do that.
Yeah, so another odd little tidbit of information about Cook, something, he just wasn't moving as quickly as, he normally would. Another strange note that I'll make here is I was on the forum 14ers. Joe's a member on that forum, and there's several different threads about David Cook. This is kind of for the climbing community in Colorado. And the lady who reached out to us with this case suggestion mentioned that this case was talked about a lot amongst the climbers at the time. It kind of like shook the community because he was such a good climber and experienced. And a lot of the other climbers who hiked this area the same day he was hiking did not remember ever seeing him going up or coming down. So we have that one.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we have that one reported viewing, sighting of him at 1:40 p.m., but that no one else saw him. So very strange. It is now September 19th, 2016, between 4 and 6 p.m. Cook's cell phone pings towers in Crest Butte and Aspen multiple times over a 2-hour period. But actually, further down during the search, authorities could not actually identify the exact location of which peak the ping was coming from. And now this is important only because he is spotted the next day. So they do have another record of where he was, but as I get into the search and rescue,
and that's like confirmed. Like they're like, oh yeah, we do know he was here on the next day.
Yeah, so I'll get into who confirmed it, but it would have been helpful during the search if they would have known, because they didn't know exactly what he did those 2 days. They don't know. I mean, so they know where he was at 1:40 p.m. He was spotted on South Maroon, but they don't really know which peaks he hit because he didn't have a clear itinerary. And if they could have gotten a better cell phone ping, they could have known, like, okay, so at 6 p.m. he was on North Maroon.
Yeah. And for those watching, this one is South Maroon. That's the taller of the two peaks.
Yeah.
And then along this saddle, it brings you to North Maroon.
Yeah. So like I said, his cell phone did ping multiple times between that 2-hour period on the 19th. Many local climbers in the area said these peaks get very spotty cell reception, with some areas on the peaks allowing climbers the ability to actually send out texts and pictures, while other spots in the mountain have no signal. And Joe, this was very fascinating. This came up on the forum I was reading about, Dave. I've never heard of this technology used in searches before, and it was not used on this search. But it seems to be a new technology that probably will get utilized more and more in the future. It's called ASSA Search and Rescue System. So basically what it is a mobile cell phone tower that can be carried on the back of a searcher, and it actually allows the search and rescue teams to locate phones, make voice calls, and send text messages to people that are missing. So this feeds right into when we say always bring your cell phone with you when you're hiking.
Well, now especially.
Yeah. So this is
ASSA.
ASSA SAR.
ASA.
I have a link in our notes.
Okay, I'm gonna look in. I'm gonna pull that up just for the.
Yeah, so it's a really cool technology, and this was back in 2016, so maybe it's more widely used.
It's wildly used.
Wildly. So, It's just the technology advances in search and rescue over the years have gotten so much better, which it makes it kind of strange, some of these disappearances where people are still not found. And it's pretty compact. I mean,
that's really cool. So so the person's got it on their person as they're hiking, and it's a remote cell tower, basically. So if there are any cell phones in the area, you get emergency connection, basically.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and they basically wear the receiver on their back. So cool technology. Just a little sidebar there. I think we'll probably have cases in the future where this technology is deployed. So now it's the evening of September 19th. It was reported by the family that Cook had purchased a camping permit for the Silver Bells on Monday night. He would have been camping in a yellow Big Agnes tent with a white fly. And a side note, I actually own that tent. It's a very good tent. So
shout out to Big Agnes.
Yeah, if you want to sponsor us.
We love your tents. Would love to do a review of the newest single and maybe 3-man. Yeah, a couple singles and then maybe 1 3-man. We'll do some reviews.
Yeah, there we go. So we don't have any confirmation that he actually camped there that night. We just know that his plan was to set up camp because he had gotten a permit to do it. So it is now the 20th of 2016, which is a Tuesday morning. A parking lot attendant, which was a U.S. Forest Service employee, reported seeing Cook Tuesday morning between 7 and 8 a.m. near Maroon Lake. His map for Pyramid Peak was still in his car. The attendant said Cook didn't have crampons with him, but did have micro spikes. And another little sidebar here for people, we say different terms of things, and a lot of people listen that don't hike. So I just wanted to kind of briefly describe the difference between micro spikes and crampons so people know what they are when we're talking about them. So micro spikes are basically little spikes that you wear on the bottom of your shoes or hiking boots. They're ideal for more, flat terrain. They're chains with small spikes that are placed around the footwear. They're worn in icy conditions on relatively flat terrain. They're small, easy.
You'll see people wearing them in town here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, even ice fishing and stuff when you're walking on frozen lakes.
Yeah.
They're very transportable and low maintenance. Crampons, on the other hand, are for icy slopes and technical climbs.
And I just pulled some up, and you can see why. Look at those.
Yeah,
they're usually very sharp.
Yeah, they're worn on for high angle slopes, for general or technical mountaineering. It's a whole foot frame for your boot, and it's not something that you would just use on an icy trail. Those spikes are, that's for when you're climbing up.
Yep.
The side of a mountain.
You can see this guy standing on the side of ice. He kicked it's so sharp. He's kicked his toe in. He's able to climb up.
So that is the difference between micro spikes and crampons. I figured.
Yeah, here are some micro spikes. You can tell you're not climbing any mountains in these.
No.
It's good for traction. Yeah, it's great for traction on ice, but that's and a good example. That's $33 an REI. These are starting at $100. For cheap ones.
I wish I would have had micro spikes in the Tetons when we crossed the snowfields because I felt the whole time I was going to fall. So this sighting by the Forest Service employee would be the last confirmed sighting of Cook.
And Maroon Lake's right off the parking lot. So this is what I was telling you. This is the visitor center. There's Maroon Lake.
Yeah.
And if you want to go on the longer hike.
Where is Pyramid Peak from there?
I have to see, because here's Crater Lake, and that's a pretty difficult hike just to get to Crater Lake.
Yeah.
And that's where we went. That's where, if you saw the drone footage, you can log on and see the video. I also have it on my personal YouTube page.
We'll link to it in the show notes.
But that's where I got the shot of the Maroon Bells.
Yeah.
And then through that valley, I'll search Pyramid Peak while you're talking.
Yeah, so like I said, this would be the last confirmed sighting of Cook. Cook was reportedly also seen talking to a female with blonde braided hair past her shoulders wearing a climbing helmet. And she may have been in a company of up to 6 other climbers. Okay,
it's right across from Maroon Bells.
Okay.
So it's like the other mountain range. Oh, yeah, you can. There's Maroon Peak. Here's Pyramid Peak.
Okay. Authorities, I remember doing this research, were trying to find this woman that he was talking to. to get information from her, but I don't think they were successful in locating her. So here is a fellow climber's comments on the conditions of Pyramid Peak that is at the same time that Cook would have been doing it. So he wrote, I did Pyramid on Monday, and there was a very small amount of snow between the saddle and the ridge. Later, I got off the route due to goats being overhead and climbed a good deal of the north face, ascending the green wall too high. It looked like it would go, and the goats were worrying me, so I kept going. I held a decent amount of snow and ice and made for the sketchiest climbing I've done with all the loose rock and exposure factored in. I second not attempting this mountain with fresh snow on the rock. It's not fun. I'm pretty fast, and it took a long time, so I was very glad to have made it. It's a physically and mentally draining mountain between route finding, elevation gain, and the 15-plus microwave-size holds I tested that were ready to go. The slope from the amphitheater to the saddle would also be pretty terrifying to going up and down with solidified moisture. The mountain is a serious challenge in perfect conditions. So,
yeah, look at that. So here's Pyramid Peak.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's this. You're not coming up this way. It's sheer face. So this is the saddle, and when you zoom up,
yeah,
it's just very dramatic drop on each side.
Yeah.
So if it's snow covered, you get those false snow shelves.
Yeah.
Where you could just step and like right through nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're piling up. So it can be very dangerous if it's covered in snow. If you don't have a partner and you're not tethered to each other.
Yeah. So the general consensus of
this looks even more. Well, this looks worse than Maroon Peak. There's like way more aggressive drops.
But
okay.
Yeah, so the general consensus from other hikers and climbers while Cook was here was the conditions were less than ideal. And even if you have a dry mountain, blue sky, this could be one of the hardest climbs of your life. And it sounds like Cook was attempting it in less than ideal conditions. So it is now the 20th, September 20th, 2016, Tuesday evening. This was when Cook was first reported missing. So Cook is reported missing by a woman when she said he failed to check in. And I couldn't confirm this, but I would assume this would be his wife. But I do not have confirmation on that. So Aspen Search and Rescue, along with the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office, were the first groups notified. Volunteers from Mountain Rescue Aspen located Cook's car about noon Wednesday and found a receipt inside indicating he had arrived at the Maroon Bells entrance station about 11 a.m., according to the official statement. So based on that information and the possibility that Cook's climbing plans may have been delayed because of his late arrival, Mountain Rescue officials decided to not immediately start the search. So this is very interesting. A lot of the cases we've been doing recently, the search and rescue operation kicks off almost instantaneously as they're reported
typically
missing. But we have covered several cases where if search and rescue doesn't have even a 5-mile radius, well, less than that, but if they don't have a decent understanding of where you might be, they're not going to necessarily start the search off right away. So,
okay.
Unfortunately, in this situation, the search and rescue teams waited because they didn't have good information on where he could be, and with the finite resources of a search team, they.
So the last place that they saw him was this Pyramid Peak, potentially?
In the parking lot.
So
that was the last time he was seen by anybody that the authorities know of. So it is now. So he's reported missing on September 20th, and it's now September 22nd, which is a Thursday morning. This is when the search kind of kicks off officially and gets into high gear. A helicopter from Grand Junction and another from Gypsum were deployed to search for Cook. But unfortunately, high winds forced one of the helicopters to fly home, though the other one was able to stick around. The other one was able to stick around the North and South Maroon Peaks as well as the Pyramid Peak until about 4 p.m., but they did not find any evidence of Cook. Then on September 23rd...
And this is the actual footage. I'll play this while you're talking. This is Mike put this up. This is actual footage from the search helicopter.
Yeah, this wasn't on. This was from October 11th, so it was about a month a couple weeks later, but
Look at that.
you can see in
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of snow up there.
how rugged this terrain is. It would make it really tough for searchers on the ground to search. I mean, a lot of this is done basically via helicopter because of this terrain.
This is another reason why I wear bright colored clothing. When you're looking this side of the mountain, especially with snow there,
Yeah.
if he was wearing blue or red, you would see that very easily against this rock. Or like yellow.
Or like yellow.
Like bright green. You'll see a lot. But look at how treacherous that is. Holy cow. Yeah, they were not that snow covered when I went.
And honestly, if I was climbing something like this, I'd have a personal locator beacon on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not to say that if you fell, you would be able to activate it, but
What a beautiful mountain.
it's really cool.
It's very beautiful.
I wish I was a very experienced climber because it looks cool.
Honestly, just going there and like
Watching other people climb it.
not even watching just being there, like being at the base of the mountain was just so awe-inspiring. So
Yeah.
like anyone and getting to the base, super easy. I mean, it's effort, but you can do it. It's a day hike.
Yeah.
You can bring kids and do it. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. So,
All right, keep going.
So unfortunately, on the 23rd of September, the search for Cook was temporarily called off due to weather conditions. So obviously the whole theme of this disappearance was the conditions were less than ideal. And obviously it got bad enough that the search completely had to be shut down for, several hours. So now let's fast forward to September 24th.
Yeah, it wasn't snowing. I wonder if it was like strong winds, and that's why one of the helicopters, if it was an older one, maybe couldn't handle it. Flying
Yeah.
helicopters in the mountains is super dangerous.
Yeah.
You just get like random updrafts and like the weirdness.
Yeah.
So you can get blown into the side of a mountain really easily.
In the episode we did on the Nevada Triangle, Steve Fawcett was the theory of why his plane went down was some kind of updraft off the mountain.
Yeah, it's in the video I'll share where we hiked it, the one with the storm.
Yeah.
I do a time lapse at the base of, we're on Longs Peak, but we're in what's called Boulder Field, and you can see a time lapse of this cloud hits the mountain and just shoots straight up in the air.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come to us because the mountain redirects the wind. So you can imagine if you're flying in a machine that requires downdraft and things like that to operate, if all of a sudden you just get blasted with like a vertical wind, and you're not ready for it.
Yeah, it requires some kind of, from flying a lot, it requires like knowing kind of consistency in your conditions, like sudden gusts of wind around really high peaks. And I mean, that's not a recipe for
No, that's not
keeping a
gonna be good.
plane in the air. And anyone who's traveled on an airliner who's felt, like wind shear or downdrafts, like when I've had a couple flights where we're coming in the land and you kind of get weightless in your seat for a few seconds.
Oh, yeah.
When you have like a really
It
strong,
picks you up a little bit when you're not expecting it.
downdraft that like pushes the plane down. So,
And then he goes, that was completely normal.
Yeah.
Welcome to Milwaukee.
Welcome to Milwaukee.
Okay, go on.
So, it's now 9/24/2016. So we have a statement from the Mountain Rescue Aspen. They wrote, good morning to all. We are about to begin our next operational period, which includes reviewing and revising our plans. Part of this process is establishing where the person is not or is less likely to be, allowing the teams to focus resources in likely areas. Thank you to each of you who have contributed even the smallest detail as we try to narrow the expansive search area. For those of you who are out there climbing this week, keep thinking about what you saw and who you met and what you did not see. Sometimes people think, well, I didn't see anything, so have nothing to contribute. If you were somewhere in this search area and saw nothing, please let us know. So they then go on to release another statement on September 25th of 2016. This is an interesting statement. So while the search was going on, people, climbers in the area and locals, and they were wondering why they didn't have any dog teams out here. And so
I would imagine you couldn't get them anywhere near where it would matter.
yeah, I mean,
If he's up there, you're not getting dogs up there.
So the Mountain,
my guess.
Yeah, Mountain Rescue Aspen actually released a special statement on why they didn't have dog teams in this search, and they go on to write the terrain is class 3, 4, and some 5, and that is on the worn down, cleared off, packed down route paths. These terrain classifications require 3 to 4 points of contact much of the time. Class 5 terrain, while tie-in is not required to scale, the consequences of losing your grip or footing are very high, and that is all in the best conditions. Move off route or chasing a bad Karen, and you will quickly find yourself in class 4 or 5 terrain. Off route, the terraces, some 10 to 20 feet wide, are littered with loose, unconsolidated, untested terrain being held in place by gravity. Where the terrain is not terraced, one would often be in small, loose, broken, unconsolidated rock pieces, otherwise called poker chips, with a downward sloping angle of 15 to 30 degrees, sometimes greater.
I'm getting like sweaty knuckles.
I know. So movement into and within the off-route areas of these mountains is not to be taken lightly or without great deal of suspicion that it will move or it will not hold. If you are off-route and do not create rockfall or encounter a moving rock or sorry, I butchered that. So this was from one of the searchers posted this on the forum. They're basically saying that if you're off route and you don't create a rockfall, consider it a bonus. They go on to say search dogs investigate smells. They want and are specifically trained to follow their noses, either trailing, following a ground scent, or air scenting, following a scent carried in the air, typically in the direction away from its origin. Scent cone. Scent cone processes are straight line in nature, the dog wandering side to side, back and forth to establish where the scent is and is not. This would not be a safe process out there for the dogs, searcher, or other climbers anywhere near the area. This process would likely take the dogs off route trying to follow their nose or establish the boundaries of the scent cone to its origin. Dogs could possibly create rockfall problems while trying to maintain their footing, cutting or injuring their pads of their feet, in addition to falling down the mountain sides themselves. That's in dry conditions. Add in 3 to 10 inches of snow and some ice.
See, that's how I knew that one guy who commented was probably a regular, because he said he abandoned his climb because goats were above him.
Yeah.
And that's super dangerous.
Yeah.
That's what I say. If you're on the mountain, don't throw rocks off.
No.
Because you can trigger some stuff, and you can get a 10-pound rock, and once it starts rolling, it will just... the kinetic force it will create as it rolls downhill and then could hit something. You can kill somebody. It's insane.
Yeah. So these are that's one of the most detailed explanations of, a dog team, like kind of what they're supposed to do and why they weren't used in a specific search that we've read in all the cases.
I like that visualization of the smell cone, like how they track back and forth to basically narrow it like a funnel towards the scent.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's why they did that.
No, we do need to get a search and rescue professional on here that specializes in dog teams to I'd love to do a whole episode on how it works, how they conduct a search with dog teams. It's all super interesting to me.
Yeah, we've only done one. We had the guy from Colorado, Rocky Mountain Search and Rescue.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Dave Piskin?
Dave something.
Yeah.
Haskin.
Dave Haskin.
Yeah, Dave Haskin. So if you have not heard that, we have his full interview up somewhere.
Yeah, he was on the search and rescue for one of the stories we did, but we did the full interview because he talks about what it's like to be in SAR, and he was extremely descriptive. It was a great interview. So definitely look back, and I'll while you're talking still look up the episode number just so that
it was one of our oldies.
It was an oldie,
an oldie but goodie.
Oldie but goodie.
So we fast forward now to 9/27/2016. We've got a lot of statements from law enforcement, which is great. We don't always have these details about the search and rescue operation. So the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office released the statement. The operations continue Wednesday for missing Albuquerque, New Mexico climber David Cook with a sizable ground search. Incident Commander Grant Janke with the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office met with rescue leaders from Mountain Rescue Aspen on Tuesday to take part in the development of a search plan for Wednesday. Approximately 20 personnel from the search and rescue teams are scheduled to begin their operations at or shortly after first light on Wednesday. Rescuers from Alpine Search and Rescue Summit Summit County, Rocky Mountain Rescue, Vale Search and Rescue, Garfield County Search and Rescue, and Gunnison County Search and Rescue are all scheduled to participate in the ground search. Additionally, Flight for Life Colorado will take part in the ground search operations, inserting ground team members into the Maroon Bells Wilderness. The use of the Flight for Life helicopter will expedite the time it takes for search personnel to reach and search the areas to reduce the risk of personnel traversing snow-covered terrain. So a lot of different groups involved, and we've heard this on other cases where they utilize helicopters to get the searchers into the area so they don't have to spend, half a day hiking in. So very interesting. The Sheriff's Department goes on to state on the 28th that they had upwards of 50 people participating in a significant ground search at this time. They still had not seen any evidence of Cook, and I think they said a total of 47 people were involved with the search on the 28th from, they did have 4 individual dog teams and 2 horses with riders were used to search trails and areas surrounding the bases of the peaks. So the official search was suspended on September 29th, so it started on the 22nd, officially ended on the 29th. The Pitkin County Sheriff's Department said after 8 days of searching for the missing Albuquerque climber, David Cook, with no results, the Pitkin County Sheriff's Office is suspending the search. The incident management team conducted multiple ground and air searches over 8 days following Mr. Cook's disappearance.
It's the 3rd episode.
Wow,
it's there's this bonus 3rd episode with the interview. Wow.
So, yeah, they searched a huge presence out there for 8 days and they didn't find him, no gear, nothing. So, very strange. But in this kind of rugged terrain, when we get into theories, I think this one is a little more clear-cut than our previous episode with Barbara Bollock. Interesting thing happened on about a year later. So on May 28th of 2017, a man en route to attempt the bell cord on the Maroon Bells discovered a body, leading to speculation that the deceased was Dave Cook. Authorities at the time had not released the identity of the recovered body, but said the individual sustained serious head and leg injuries, but they were unable to determine if the person was actually climbing one of the peaks. It later turned out to not be Dave Cook, and it was identified as Jeffrey Bushrow, a 27-year-old from Tucson, Arizona. So, it
was a different person who went missing on the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous.
Yeah. So, and the search, they actually searched for Cook again on August 16th of 2017. So search teams from Mountain Rescue Aspen, Garfield County Search and Rescue, West Elk Search and Rescue, and Search and Rescue Dogs of the United States continued to search. Canine search teams were inserted into the Frevert and Lost Remuda basins via helicopter around 6 a.m. on Saturday, August 12th. Frevert Basin is on the west and south side of Maroon Peak, while the Lost Remuda Basin is on the west side of North Maroon Peak. Additionally, ground teams searched the area of the East Maroon Trail as well as the Minnehaha Gulch and near Crater Lake in the area known as the Garbage Chute. Searching started around 7 a.m. on Saturday and lasted approximately 9 hours. The searchers were out of the field by about 3:30 p.m., and unfortunately no additional clues about Cook's location were discovered. They went back in on 8/16 of 2017 and searched for the entire day in the same area, didn't find anything. They also had additional teams in there from Rocky Mountain Rescue Group, the Vale Mountain Rescue Group, and from Edwards, Colorado, and Colorado Forensic Canines from Bailey, Colorado.
I wonder what triggered that. I wonder if they're utilizing it as a training because it's a year later.
Yeah, I don't know.
It must have been like cadaver dogs. Yeah, I don't want to sound grim or anything, but I'm just. This is the first time we've heard of them doing a mounted search again.
Yeah,
a year later.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe the discovery of that body in May
Oh, okay.
maybe triggered them. Like,
if they're like, hey, let's check this area.
Let's check it again. I couldn't find the reasons why this search was kicked off again. So that was really the last time an official search was done for Cook. So this is what I was talking about in the beginning of the episode, that the family started this website in September 19th of 2021 to honor Dave's memory and those who risk their lives searching for missing people in the wilderness. Cook's wife, Maureen, and his 3 kids launched a website called Dave Gives Back to promote mountain safety education and fundraise through the sales of T-shirts, tank tops, baseball hats, and water bottles on the website davegivesback.org. 100% of the proceeds are going to search and rescue organizations. So the merchandise is emblazoned with the campaign's logo, a depiction of a hiker against the silhouette of the Maroon Bells. So that's really cool. Joe's got it pulled up here. That's a really cool idea to honor, Dave, and to provide resources to these search and rescue groups that these people literally risk their lives going out searching for, people that are missing in the wilderness. And, it costs a lot of money. Some of it's, funded through taxpayer money, but a lot of it is funded through donations. And most of these people are volunteers. They're not even getting paid.
A lot of them
do
have full-time jobs that they have to stop, and families they have to leave to go search for these people.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an amazing thing that they're doing, and if anyone's listening, go to davegivesback.org and buy a couple of their couple of the things they're selling on their website, and 100% of those proceeds are going to go to search and rescue organizations. So one final note before we get into theories. I think theories will go pretty quick on this one. One interesting thing that they utilized on this search was they took thousands of pictures of the terrain, and they actually crowdsourced the analysis of the pictures. So I read they had over 25,000 people looking at different pictures from this search. I saw some of the pictures, they had circled, spots on the mountain, and they'd, highlight things. And then they had experts then look at pictures that people flagged in detail. And then they also ran those pictures through an AI program.
That's awesome. I'm so glad when they do that, because there's internet sleuths are so good.
Yeah.
So I think that's such a genius idea to do.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. They unfortunately didn't find anything related to Cook.